morning to our esteemed guest delegates, executive leaders, government officials, our esteemed panelists, and of course our beautiful audience, all protocols observed. My name is Ulitilo Mokhashwa, and I'm the head of business development within Old Mutual Corporate. I also chair the Old Mutual Women's Network, or OWN, as we affectionately call it. Now, before we start with our program, can I ask that we all please stand for the national anthem? Thank you very much. You may all take a seat. Now, today is a very special day. We're all gathered here for the Empowa Women in Energy Leadership Summit, in partnership with my English starter bundles are low today, so you'll excuse me. In partnership with Unleashing Leadership Potential, or ULP. Now, as you all know, this platform is really not about talk shop, but this summit really endeavors to advance the women's participation within the energy sector by drawing on the experiences and insights of leading energy sector players, sharing strategies of how women can really advance their career and shape their future. Now, we have a lineup of 4 powerful panel discussions, and I have the honor of being your program director for today. Now, that's the time where we get to really welcome a man that I have truly been secretly admiring for many years, dating 2017, Professor Radebe. I was introduced to Unleashing Leadership Potential by Mosanya Amanda. I see him in the audience there. So I used to sit right at the back or in the middle or in the front. And I really am drawn to this platform because it really, Professor Radebe has created an amazing platform where he gets to impart his knowledge as well as mentorship throughout the session. Now, in case you guys have been all living under a rock and you don't know who Ntate Radebe is, let me just give you some insights to who he is. So Professor Maurice Radebe is currently the head and director of Wits Business School. Previously, he served as the executive vice president of Sasol Energy Business globally. He was accountable for the successful marketing of all the energy business products, as well as managing the gas to liquids joint venture in Qatar and Nigeria, the gas to power venture in Mozambique. Maurice Radebe is the founder and chairman, of course, of Unleashing Potential Leadership Foundation in South Africa, and he has experienced energy industry executive. He is an experienced energy industry executive, having worked in the sector for over 30 years. Now, I must say that I didn't think you have 30 years under your belt. You look really, really good. During his 8 years at Shell, 7 years at Excel and 16 years at Cecil. He has had profit and loss experience and responsibility, developed a deep understanding of the energy sector, both upstream and downstream, and has been involved in significant projects. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Ntate Radebe.
Thank you very much, Ulidile, our program director. Let's give her a round of applause. She's doing an amazing job. And also I see a great panelist. I'm not going to introduce them, but they look so stunning. Why don't you give them a round of applause? And let me acknowledge our leadership. I see our special advisor to the Minister of Electricity, Ubaba Osiris Zim. I will introduce him soon. I just want to double check whether my pledge video is ready. If it is ready, let me just first, I'll tell you when to say. Welcome to the 7th Women in Energy taking place here, particularly with in partnership with Empowa. And I think last week or so, we were all at the, where's that place? In Princeton. And we said, when it comes to energy, we want to deep dive. We really want to get into the details. And particularly the aim of this program is not only just to have a talk shop that talks about all the nice theories about energy and what we're doing in energy, but it's about opportunities for women to lead. And let me use the word, must lead the low carbon economy that is emerging now. Are you agreeing with me on that one? Yeah, I like that. It's a must. You know, I was speaking when we were preparing with the speakers here, and I said, you know, ladies, let me tell you, there's something called power. Power is never handed over on a plate, okay? Power, you take it. So this platform is about empowering you so that you can take over power in the energy business. And I believe that because if you wait, I promise you, women will take over. It's just in our nature to do it. So you have to make sure that you do that. And I just want to, the essence of what we're talking about, are you getting ready with the video? The essence of what we're talking about is in 2002, last year, by Ezekiel, I got in some of the leaders, that some of them are here, some are not yet here, to make a pledge. So it's the leaders that made it. Last time we were talking about the hydrogen energy. But I want you to make this pledge, all of us, after this, okay? You see, I like people making commitments because when you made a commitment, then you live up to it. All right, ready? Can it go? Hope the technology is not going to disappoint me. All over the world, in the hierarchy of humankind, people of African descent are in the lowest rank. And we, each one of us, need to make a commitment and a pledge in the area of your influence that you will change that trajectory. In your lifetime, maybe not in your lifetime, but you lay the right foundation. And that's a pledge I want us to make. That the hydrogen economy is going to be led by people of African descent and women in particular. Are you agreeing with me on that? Now come here. I don't know how the camera's going to work. I want everyone who's presented, panelists and everyone, and the leadership, and you Priscilla, you stand in front of you. Right, you lead them. I want us to say this pledge. I want the camera to catch it so that next time, and I've drafted it there, so that you see yourself having made that pledge. Hey, Kwesi, Zonke, the leadership. Tabo, you were there together. You stand here, and I'm going to say, you say this after me. It's a pledge. Take out your mask because I want the camera to catch you. It's a pledge. It's a historical moment. People 100 years from now will say there were men and women who stood and make the pledge. Just like in 1945 in Manchester. We celebrate. You go and Google Manchester 1945. And you see the Kwame Nkrumah, you see KK Kaunda. Eh? And there were a few women. There was a big issue there that there were women in that conference, but their names were not mentioned. So there's a narrative that needs to be changed. Okay? All right. I'm going to say at the end, you say, help me, God. So it's very important. So be ready there. We, say after me, we gathered on the 30th October, 2021. Say it loud, man. Say it as if you believe it. At ULP House. Pledge ourselves that we will do everything in our power to ensure that women lead the hydrogen economy in South Africa, in Africa, all over the world. And it will empower people of African descent globally. So help me God. Thank you very much, love. Now I'm going to get all of you to join in that place. Stand up. Come on. Because it's important. I'm doing historical things because at my age you impart. You impart generational messages. So are you together with me now? We gathered together at ULP House. Pledge ourselves that the low carbon economy will be led by women in Africa throughout the whole world. So help me God. Thank you. It's kept time. We'll play it next time. That's the essence of what we are here for. That's really the essence of what we're here for. We're here to exactly that. Commit ourselves for the next generation. I've got grandchildren now, so I think generational. I want to, that's why I hate it when I hear people saying we'll have a failed state. We will not have a failed state. There is no way I can bequeath a failed state to my Morongwa and Mayanda. You can clap hands for that. These are the young people. There is just no way I can do that. And I want you to have that sense that there is no way we will bequeath a failed state to our generation. And energy is at the heart of either we become a failed state or not. Because it's at the heart of economic development, at the heart of everything that moves. And I'm talking energy in its broadest sense, not only electricity. I'm talking about liquid fuels. I'm talking about every aspect of it, renewables, hydrogen, wind, wave energy, hydro. We need that. And the second reason why I'm particularly passionate about that, and I repeat this all the time, and it pains me that 600 million people in this continent still do not have primary energy. And that is why I want you to take it at that level, deep in your heart, and say, what am I going to do about that? You're a leader in energy. And there's no way we can allow another little girl at the age of 10, instead of being at school, must go out in the forest, collect wood, just to make fire. By the time the fire is made and cooked, it's 1 o'clock. She's not gone to school. She's not going to be educated. And then she's going to be poor. And she's going to be vulnerable. She's going to be abused because she doesn't have the economic power to be able to survive. That's what drives me here. The rest of the clever people here are going to talk about all the different aspects, but I want you to catch the essence of what we're about here. So, on that note, thank you very much for making the pledge. I would like to, my right, introduce our leader from the Ministry of Electricity, Ubaba Silas. I know him very well. So, let's do that. Baba Silas, umzingeli kamala. You know what umzingeli means? It means a hunter. Zim obtained a BA Engineering Honors degree in Electrical and Electronics Engineering. In 1991, he also holds an MSc in Management of Engineering. Silas has attended some of the highly recognized leadership programs and management programs, both nationally and internationally. Mr. Zim started his career in electricity industry when he joined Eskom in 1992, where he worked as an engineer in the generation group. Amongst the areas that he was involved is the normalization of Soweto. He was also appointed as a contract manager for key projects as Alusaf, Matimba Bulawayo. While still at Eskom, he was later appointed as a key customer relations manager looking after the mining industry. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mr. Silas Zim.
As the prof was talking, I actually realized that, yeah, we are old. And old people must lead, must give direction. So when Tati gave me the topic, it started with positioning women. And I deliberately thought, hey, you know what, that's not for me. So I asked her, move the minister from 3:30 to morning so that he can be able to attend. Then we agreed, the minister said, look, yeah, that looks fine. But as you've seen last night, he had to go to Mpumalanga, people are marching, he's accepting all the memorandums. And for my sins, he said, you've been to those women, go back. So I had to prepare, and I had to prepare thorough. So in my CV, which I put as the first slide, I deliberately put it there because, like the professor has said, you have to take the power. Nobody's going to give it to you. Okay? I did matric. I was born in a small place called Everton in the Val. That's my home. And did matric. 1984, unrest, we could not write. And with our good government, we were chased out of the system. So we didn't have matric. So we had to register privately. And then life was tough. I remember I had to do some funny, odd things. I was a taxi driver. Oh, yeah, this is for women. So, my taxi was always clean. Ladies loved it. And one day, after washing it and playing some Teddy Pendergrass, a young lady stopped. And I stopped, and I opened the front door for her. And, hoping that she'll sit next to me. Lowered the sound, and as I was driving, she said, "Are you Silas?" I said, "Yes." She knows me. So I'm in, and I said, "How do you know my name?" She said, "No, at school, the teachers always tell us that if you don't study, you'll end up being like Silas driving taxis." Hey. So it was a long drive to town, so ngamluza ke lo muntu. I hope I won't see her again, So I then went into the mines. Before I went to the mines, I helped, there's a pastor in Soweto, Bishop Linkwe. He worked with our Tutu. His wife was a deputy principal in the local school that I studied at Jabulani Combined School. So she asked my late sister if I could help with maths and science. They were struggling. So I went, and every day, it was not bad. 400 Rand a month, it was not bad. After tax, This was 1985. So I then realized, no, man, hey, Lemali, it's not enough. So I went and worked underground as a miner. I drilled gold. And nobody gave me that power. I took it. I said, I'm going to hold a Temrock driller, put it on my chest, and take that core out. Before you qualify to work underground, there's an acclimatization process that you must go through. A room with no windows, very hot, stairs, 10, up, down, everybody naked. As young as I am, I was with many, many people that were the age of my dad. People were collapsing. But I stood up there and said, I'm not going to collapse, because if you collapse, they take you out, no job. I needed that job. It was a 3,400 rand a month from my 400 rand a month. And I qualified. Then they put a thick injection on your chest. That's why you could see us being fit, you know. So after a month, yeah, I had long hair, a comb here, a pen on my socks. Obviously, Afrikaners were my friends. And I worked there until one day in the evening, I had a knock at the hostel window, and I opened. Now, you know, at hostels, people kill one another. You don't just open the curtain, if it was a curtain. And I checked and I said, oh, this person is my uncle. So, uncle, what's wrong? No, I've been asked to come fetch you. You're needed urgently at home. And I'm like, whoa, urgently at home. So the first thing I thought was, you know, when month end I go home, and this girlfriend of mine, yeah, we disappear into the park. I think she's pregnant. All the way from Orkney, uncle didn't tell me. He kept on saying, hey, I know you'll hear when you get home. This man is cruel. So we got home, and my late mom gave me a brown envelope. And I opened the envelope. I was offered a scholarship to go study in the UK. No? I had a week to get a passport. I don't know how my late brother got a passport for me, but I got it. So Bishop Tutu and them actually started a program, Nabo Bishop Linkwe, to take South Africans out of the country to study in the UK. And I was one of the first 100 people to be included in that. Because I had helped Mrs. Linkwe at the combined school. Had I not done that, I would not have been known by people by Soweto. You know? So again, you take it. Nobody's going to give it to you. Coming back, I came back to visit home. I had done my BEng, and I got a scholarship from the British Airways to do aeronautical engineer masters. So I thought, let me visit home quickly. But, you know, that was the end of my studies because my sister was so ill, I had to work at home. And I worked. So a friend of mine was working at Letabo Power Station. He literally filled in the forms and forged my signature and submitted an application at Eskom. I was still radical. Never worked for Eskom. While I was a comrade, I was tasked to destroy power lines. Why would I work there? On the 2nd of January 1992, I was employed by Eskom, and I had to change. So it does not come easy, isn't it? Okay, the presentation on. I've summarized this one. I'm not going to go through it again. Second slide. Oh, can I change them here? Oh, technology, yes. So this thing called electricity is not that old. If you look at from 1900, when we came up with technologies, I'm a fan, I'm a bulbs, up to 2000, we had a crisis. 100 years late, okay? And that crisis was called a blackout. Today we call it a load shedding. What came out as the solutions there was it demand-side management. We had to reduce what we're using at our homes in the factories. Are we the only people that has gone through load shedding? No, we're not. China went through that, but they managed to get out of it forever. Spain managed to get out of it. Tokyo managed to get out of it. Many other countries. But India, Lebanon, Pakistan, South Africa, it keeps coming back. So in South Africa, from 2008, I was the CEO of City Power then. And I remember being called, Alec Ewen was the Minister of Public Enterprise, I think, yes. Eskom College, not far from here, stop this load shedding. That day we said to the Eskom guys and said, it can't be right that we have Kelvin Power Station, we are switching off geysers, and still you hit us with load shedding. Believe you me, Maurice, when we left Eskom College, there was no load shedding. Until today, I still don't know what we had done. But I said to all my colleagues of big metropolitans, let's do demand-side management. It's not easy to build a new power plant. Now remember, we're planning for the World Cup 2010. Midupi is announced. Kusile is announced. They're supposed to help us. And we're still talking about them today. After billions extra had been spent on them. I'm actually visiting them on Monday to check if we can stop load shedding, which I'll share with you. Definitely, it has to be stopped. Look at the world that we want to be like. Look at the world that we want to look like. In Paris, for example, it's not far from the city of Joburg. I'm told today the city of Joburg peaks at about 2,200 megawatts. But look at Tokyo. They peak at 64,000 megawatts. A city. In South Africa, we peak at 30,000 megawatts, a country, and we get load shed. And we still want to be like Japan. Okay? So instead of them complaining, they continue to build an asset to cater for it. So I don't know if you can all see this, but it's saying electricity is no longer a luxury. It used to be a luxury. You know, we used to leave the lights on and go to work. Oh, by the way, I did my matric without electricity, man. Primer stove, coal stove. Yes, I was full of pimples. You know? The shack I was staying in was not ventilated enough. So this thing of coal getting people ill is serious. I've experienced it. My mom believed that I had TB, but it was not TB. It was this stove that I was sleeping next to. So it's no more a luxury, but we cannot divorce electricity from the population growth. The whole world population is growing. South Africa, 2010, we hosted the World Cup. We were 49 million, remember? Today, we are 62 million, I'm told. Everywhere I go, there's condoms for free. What made us to grow to 62 million if we were preventing enough? Now we can argue, no, there are Zimbabweans, there are Nigerians, they're not South Africans, they're from Lesotho. Electricity does not care. It sees a load. You know, every time I open the newspaper on May 26, Zaga December, any Paragonath is celebrating new kids. I count them as loads. I say, oh no. That's Temba, that's Boris, that's Smongile. And I start calculating, how many power stations do we need now? But it's a reality. You can't divorce a population growth from electricity. So the demand globally is growing. And I'm sorry, maybe the demand globally is growing, but the energy production is not catching what the demand is doing. So, oh yeah, I'm not going to tell you what is the opportunity. In the mess I'm presenting to you, there are opportunities. Grab them. Ne? So there's a big difference between the demand and the supply. We need to close it. We can't reduce the demand low enough to can match the supply. So as we reduce it, we need to increase the supply. And that's where the opportunities are lying. There's money for it. That money is growing every year. In South Africa, we have what we call the Trevor Manuel levy. Remember that 2-cent levy that Trevor Manuel, we didn't understand what he was doing? That's what we use for electrification, upgrade of infrastructure. 5% of what we pay to Eskom and municipalities goes into money. There's money that's available, besides the commercial banks and everybody promising us more money. So the key drivers in this changing world are, besides the power stations, which we have failed to get to work, we've got grid reliability. We've got regulations in South Africa which, if we had an ombudsman with electricity, many municipal managers, city managers, CEOs of electricity would have been dismissed or even gone to jail. There's two key ones. One is Regulation 047. It talks about the quality of service. The second is Regulation 048. It talks about the quality of supply. So when these two regulations are saying, when there's a power outage, it must take Eskom at least 1 hour to bring back 30% of the people that are off. Load shedding, 1 hour? It's not. But that's an opportunity. We need to make a grid to be reliable. We need to digitize our grid. At the moment when there's a fault, electricians go out in the bakkies, the Eskom, and they are looking for a fault. And the fault is quiet and laughing at them. So they passed me, they passed me. Then you call, how far can we take to restore the power? We don't know, we've not found the fault as yet. Whereas if you automate the grid, the whole grid, by the way, up to your house needs to be automated. We need to know where are we losing power, why, how much are we sending to each house, each factory. We don't have that. People who lie to you say South Africa is smart, they've got smart. We've got meters, we don't have smart technologies. So we're actually saying, you've got a taxi, your petrol tank is leaking, your gauge is not working, which is typical of a taxi to Everton. And you've got 10 rand that can fix the leakage or fix the gauge. Where are you going to spend it? In South Africa, we're spending it on the gauge, on the meters. The leakages we don't care about. And it's not only on electricity, even on water. I mean, I didn't pass any water leakages coming here, good to mid-rand. But go to the townships. Water is everywhere. It's just that electricity you can't see. But at night, when it's busy glowing, you can actually see. There's something wrong. Whether it's illegal connections or something, which the next one, the technical side. As you start your car, and it gives you that vrpa, it's petrol wasted. The same with electricity. The transformers, the noise they make, it's a loss. You know? When you go underneath these high pylons, the noise they make is a loss. There's nothing you can do about it. Maybe Thabo, with their expertise, Siemens will come up with a technology that can reduce that. It's about 10% that we lose before we give you power. But there's also what is called the non-technical losses. Electricity theft, bypassed meters, copper cable theft, izinyoga-nyoga. It's a big industry. Some of those people are making more money than the municipalities themselves by stealing and selling electricity at half the price. I mean, this thing started in the Val. The cars they drive, the houses they stay in. But it's now all over South Africa. People are selling electricity. We call it ghost vending. But nobody's stopping it. So that's about 40% of the losses. And every year we keep hitting you with a higher tariff instead of stopping those illegal and non-technical losses. So let me move a bit quicker. We still have people who are saying, President, Minister, we want jobs everywhere we go. In South Africa. So the issue of inequality, poverty, and unemployment is still very, very high. And it needs to be sorted. It can't be right that we say people versus Soweto owe Eskom 20 billion. The Constitution says they shall be given access to electricity. Does not say how they're going to pay it. But maybe Thabo Mbeki was right when he said, let's give it for free and see how we can cross-subsidize. And the CFO said, no. They took the calculators out. They said, no, it's a loss. It's going to give us a loss. That loss, as long as you've got 28 million people on your grant, you can't do anything about it. Let's stop insulting our people and saying they don't want to pay. Why are we giving them 350? 350 rands per month. Why are we giving them? Because we are aware that they've got nothing. But their bill of electricity is 800 rand. Are we a caring government? As Sentin, we still connect new petrol stations, but not far. Orange Farm, people are crossing the N1 to get wood. Nobody tells us how many of them were bitten by snakes. They leave in the morning and come back in the afternoon. I've not said to Orange Farm, Gauteng. So if you can't get it right in Gauteng, with the head office in Megawatt Park, is Sentin, Sunning Hill, Do you know these rural areas that we're always told about? If we don't know them, how can we imagine what they need? With the MMs of those places always incenting on a Friday until Monday. If I lose my job, so the whole world is at what I call a significant crossroad. All of these things must happen at the same time. We cannot get rid of our power stations. They are our assets. We must fix them. We must fix them. You go to the East Rand at Davidton, Gunama Vauxhall, Gunama Zeva, old cars. They are used as taxis. Somebody's fixing them and they are working. Yes, we need to bring in new technologies. We need to bring in renewables. We need to bring in energy storage, green hydrogen. But it must happen at the same time that we're keeping our lights on. We cannot do that in darkness. We are aware of the increasing environmental pressure. I mean, who would have thought, what happened last night? Where did this happen? Hong Kong. Who would have thought Hong Kong would be underwater last night? Did you see it? Closed, shut, 3 meters high a month. It's all climate change. Who would have thought KZN would have gone through what they went through, Ngama storms? You know? Mdloti is new. It's disappeared into the sea. There's more than 250 people that we have not found as yet. KZN. Whether they are in the sea eaten by the sharks or they are underneath the mud, nobody knows. But there are people who are still hoping that they'll see them walking back. So climate change is here and we accept, but it does not mean shutting down our power stations. The issue of rates, tariffs, is a major issue. Electricity doesn't care whether you are a pensioner or you work or you don't work. If you press that button, the meter goes. Whether you stay in Orange Farm or a Sentin, it's the same cents per kilowatt hour. So we need to do something on the social side to accommodate our 28 million people that are struggling. We're not the only ones with old age power stations. The whole of Europe is like that. By the way, they're still relying on coal. And it's going to go beyond 2030 after Ukraine. Germany has brought back all their old power stations, the coal ones. And they've got envoys that are coming to South Africa say, shut down, shut down. And somebody, while they were writing their book, they shut down. They were preparing their book, and they shut down, killing the economy of this country. So I tried to map what we found when we actually went into, Usputla was appointed towards the end of March. So I keep saying to him, we are in our 6th month now in September. But the expectations are that we are 16 years. You know, that's how unfair South Africans are. But if you look at it, we discovered that Eskom was shutting down power stations at a lightning speed. You know, lightning does not go, whoo, it's cut. And introducing renewables at a very, very snail speed. So somewhere, they had a policy called 2035. I don't know who came up with this policy because Paris, as bad as Zuma you thought he was, he signed in 2050, not in 2030. America didn't even sign when we signed the Paris Agreement. But the Eskom then moved it to say we want to do it quicker. 2035, all coal stations must be shut. So we were heading for a total blackout. And the minister kept saying, one day we're going to write a book in Lerona. Yeah, we must write a book and tell the truth. So what needs to be done, which is what we've now adopted, we went to Cabinet, Parliament. We're going to extend and delay the shutting down of coal stations and fast-track the introduction of renewables. Now, when you look at Sasol, ArcelorMittal, Cape Gate, CBI, they say, Minister, renewables cannot run our machines. We need base load. Don't shut down all the stations. Ask Thabo to repurpose them so that he can then change them from polluting to be less polluting. There are technologies like that. So as people tell you about renewables, 60 gigawatt, I was presenting to Pretoria University last month and I said to them, lecturers, I'll never bring my son to study engineering in this university because you are pushing renewables and you're literally saying engineering is lying. And people who are telling us to shut down our station have never even studied engineering. When we say we need to balance the grid, it's because there's factories. South Africa is an industrialized country. There are tourist countries that can live on renewables only. So think of it, Germiston, Boksburg, Vereeniging, Van der Bijl, and parts of Pretoria East to be shut down because that's not base load. And the base load is easy. We've got coal that we hijacked from God. We've got control of this coal. We can put it in the boiler as and when we want. But we can't do the same with wind and solar. God's take them. We don't know where he takes them at night, but he takes them. So that balancing is very, very, very important. And I'm spending more time on it because if we continue the way Eskom was doing, we were going to destroy our economy. Factories were going to be shut. Actually, some of the factories are shut already. That's how bad it is. Okay, so one example is the Komati power station. And those that were watching the news, that's where, I think it's a Communist Party Youth League, where they called the minister yesterday to get a memo. It was commercially in commercial operation, 1966. Then 1990, mothballed, shut actually. Yes, shut. 2013, returned to service. When you return these things to service, you're not just going there and switching them on. It's billions that you spend on them. Okay? Then, meaning it was a rebirth of Komati in 2013. Today, Komati has been shut down. Komati was 900 megawatt, which is an equivalent of one stage of load shedding. It was shut down because it's coal. It was number 4 performer, top performer at Eskom. And it's going to be replaced with 150 of renewables. Solar panels, 200-meter high wind turbines, 200 meters. I did the first wind farm in South Africa, a cookhouse for Old Mutual. They still owe me. You know, the one they advertised, so big turbines. I stayed for 2 years in the field building that thing. They are 90 meters high, 200 meters from Mpumalanga. Part of the land that they want to put the wind turbines on are agricultural land, destroying agricultural wealth. There's a part of town that they want people to move houses because they want to put turbines. I mean, what nonsense is that? Just because it's European Union that pays for these people to come and lie to us? Wake up, South Africa. The same Komati supplies water to Komati town. And we're saying shut it down. It's not shut down, by the way. It's still using electricity. A lot of it, instead of generating for the country. I believe that 2013 is actually fruitless expenditure. Some people must be disciplined for it. Yes, the Auditor General, I'm going to have a meeting with them. They need to discipline some people. So Komati, unfortunately, was shut. So from the end of March towards the 20th of April, we visited the stations. And we said, we need to know what's happening inside the stations instead of reading these consultants' reports. And that's when we actually faced the scary reality that some of the reports are not telling the truth. We stopped Arnott. Arnott was supposed to have been shut by now. Camden was supposed to have been shut by now. Camden is actually a very sad, nice story because the employees refused to leave until the minister addressed them. There were like 3,000 of them. And all they said was, we are told that by July we should shut down the station. Where are we going to go? And we said, we're not shutting it down. And that's when we went to Abu Siemens and said, Thabo, please help. There's things that you can re-engineer that can go back to these plants. So all these plants are working. Grootvlei is still working. Hendrina, another good story. Hendrina was going to shut a day after we were there. We spent more time there convincing people that it's not going to shut down. Now Megawatt Park said so. We said it's not going to shut down. It's now running 3 units. Imatla was going to shut down. It's still running. Itutuga is our story of this week, actually. Because Tutuga, with stage 6, is the one that got back and gave us 4 units running. It was shut down already. So if you look at these stations that were supposed to be shut down, it's more than 10,000 megawatts. 10 stages. Hence, some people were sitting, drawing what happened at load staging, stage 11. They had planned this thing. And they are angry that these stations are not shut. Now, on average, this station takes 1,000 full-time Eskom employees, plus 3,000 temporary local people. 4,000 people in each and every coal station. Think of those jobs. And you don't have to think of it. Just drive to Komati and see how dead the town is. It's dead. Just one station. So here's another opportunity. We are definitely firefighting at the moment. Whether Eskom, municipalities, it's all firefighting. So we need to change that curve to get to the proactive and preventative maintenance so that these things can run the way they are designed to. It's a big opportunity. It's a lot of money to be spent. It's billions and billions. So that's the opportunity I can tell for women. But you must dirty your hands. There's oil there. There's coal. There's dust. There's ash. Eyelashes. Red lips. White shirts. You will know. Some of you, they don't keep running shoes in the boot of your cars. It's protective shoes that you must keep. Because you'll never know when you get called to where the problem is. The opportunity is huge for the sub-Saharan. It's very huge. So we've got a super grid that we're supposed to have built. Look at the resources in our continent. So don't think of South Africa only. Everywhere we're going, the presidents are asking 2 things. Can South Africa help us with energy, mainly electricity, and airports? They're not asking for roads, and they can see us, we've got potholes already. So there's an opportunity to actually generate in South Africa and then have that super grid completed. The Tanzania one may take longer, but the DRC one, we can do it tap. That part we can tap on and get into the Inga River. And then get that cheap 4 cents per kilowatt hour energy down to South Africa. And connect everybody. Now, people, remember, people follow electricity. All the guys that are in Joburg now, when you ask them, where are you from? Whether they are KZN rural or Zimbabwe, where they come from, there's no electricity. You know, when I was at City Power, Mayor Masondo used to take us into a bus. Leave your nice cars, come into the bus. And he would take us where we don't know. One day, he took us to the inner city, and people had hijacked the buildings. You've seen what happens to those buildings. Didn't start yesterday. So we were cleaning for the World Cup. And Mayor Masondo asked one guy, where are you from? This man said, KZN. I think he said, Richards Bay Rurals. And then the mayor said, but there's a mayor there. Why are you here to give me that mayor's problems? And this guy said in Zulu, Mayor,
There's nothing where I come from. You cannot live there. Here there's electricity, there's water, I smoke. And then when you think of it, you then realize we've got problems. People follow electricity. Nobody has gone from Zimbabwe to Pampurstad. Nobody. So why don't we give electricity to their countries? Let them be stable so that one day we can visit Angola for holidays, not Paris. Yeah? We can visit. How beautiful is Zimbabwe? Have you been to Zimbabwe? But it's painful to be followed by people who are begging and begging and begging. And then at the end they say, no. Don't give us a Zim dollar. We want a rent. They demand a rent. That left. So I'm going to try and rush quickly. I've seen the program. A lot of the things are covered or will be covered by experts. So this just energy transition, not just YOPL, and this definition comes from the unions, by the way. It's behaving according to what is morally fair. What we're doing now with our Pioneer jet is immoral, guys. We can't destroy the economy of Mpumalanga. Some people marched to the union building the other day, and I said, but, I grew up in a shack, coal was causing me pimples, and this lady said, my granddad lived long in Mpumalanga. Nobody cared for us. Why are you caring for us now? Leave us. You can't decide for us. Yeah. So, we didn't destroy the ozone layer as Africa. Somebody destroyed it. I believe it's Europe and the US. Now, if we have to ban all our fossil fuels that we have, they're going to die. Because they can't withstand the heat that you and I can withstand. The storms will hit them to death. So instead of them giving us loans, it should be grants, because we're actually saving them. Now, you can tell I was once a politician. And that's why I say, are we saving the world or what? It was in 2016 when I was presenting at the European Union, and I told them, take your subsidies and give them to Africa. And they never did. Today they're bringing $8.5 billion. It's a loan. Now Treasury says, that loan is expensive. JSE companies can give it to us cheaper. But all we see in the news is that South Africa does not want to take money from Europe. It's a loan. You and I will have to pay for it. And I agree with Treasury. Let's not do that. I'm going to go past this as well. So on the energy efficiency side, all the industry, we've told them, draw down, pull down, use less, and a lot of them have done. All the automotive industries, they've got solar panels. They can't do more than what they've done. They still want this base load. About nuclear, I hope Ikube could come right soon. So our energy mix is a lot of things. Just remember, electricity leads the economy. Think of any country that is not good, a country that you wish to visit. I don't know even how to pronounce it. They all have enough electricity. So there's something that I was working on last night, which is that relationship between the installed capacity and the population. And it's a long list of all countries. But I picked up a few. South Africa, there's 40 megawatts installed. By the way, it was installed by the Afrikaners. Pre-1994. So the Afrikaners had what I thought a vision. Their vision, think of it. They were less than 5 million. They did all these power stations for themselves. Turkeys were not in the agenda there. But today, when you go and say, we need to build 10 more stations, finance people will tell you, it's economically impossible. How did the Afrikaners get it right? because they had a vision to build an economy, to build an industry. We would not have had about ArcelorMittal if it was not visionary Afrikaners. So you can learn from your enemies as well. So look at France, 80 megawatts installed, 66 million people. Look at South Korea, 90 million installed, 52 million people. They're less than us. So how many megawatts should we have to get rid of load shedding, sustain jobs, and have our life being a good life, to attract investment, all of that? I don't have to tell you. But it has to be distributed generation, meaning we can't always rely on Mpumalanga, with all due respect to Mpumalanga. You cost us a load shedding. Okay? So every province now must have its own generation capacity, so that when you have a load shedding, it will only be Northwest instead of South Africa. It will only be Cape Town instead of South Africa. Can imagine it's South Africa because of Mpumalanga alone. So as much as we're not killing that economy in Mpumalanga, the plan is now to have enough generation in each and every province, stimulate our own provinces economically. Hence, we're now investing that 200 billion on expansion of transmission lines. There's areas that needs to be interconnected still. We can't do anything now in the Northern Cape, Western Cape, Eastern Cape, it's full. I think we can only connect an extra 235 megawatts. But the Limpopo and Mpumalanga transmission lines are accessible, and we must build renewables in those areas. Clean coal is very, very important still. I remember I said we hijacked the coal from God. There's nobody else to give it to. So let's use it. But who is using the coal that is heading 700 trucks, double trailer to Richards Bay every day? Who's using that coal? And why are they using it? Europe. And it's the same people that are saying, shut your stations, your coal stations down. I'm sure was on pen after this presentation. But I've traveled, I don't need to travel anymore. Nuclear. The sad story is nuclear, our Quebec is struggling. One unit that should have taken, the Chinese take 25 days to maintain it. It's now on 192 days as of yesterday. It's 900 megawatt. And the second unit was supposed to have gone out on maintenance already. So we'll try and bring the first unit on the 2nd of November and take out the second unit because it's nuclear. It has reached a stage where something has to be done on it. Otherwise, if it escapes and anything else, you'll be bored like me. It's nuclear. It's very radioactive. But we are saying the board of ESCOM has to take some drastic action on what happened at Quebec. Something wrong happened at Quebec. The risk is, next year, 24th July, the 20-year license of Quebec is expiring. It needs to be extended. The nuclear regulator might not extend it, meaning 1,800 megawatts has to be shut. It's a collapse of Cape Town because they rely so much on it. So we are busy discussing how we can save that one. As we do this, don't forget where you are staying. Your green boxes, you call them green boxes, the pillar boxes are open, kids are touching, street lights are being cut, the poles are down, your meter is not working anymore, the ESCOM offices are shut down, you talk to a call center, municipalities' offices are bent down. On the distribution side, it's a mess. But that mess is an opportunity because you can't stop it. That service, the electricity still must happen. Can we do it? Yes, we can. We just need to focus. No competition, work together. We've done it in the Soccer 2010. We worked as a unit. Nobody was pulling aside. ESCOM, municipalities, original equipment manufacturers, everybody was working together. We can do it. And somebody that I've learned from is this guy. I hate him for the good work that he has done that should have been done by us as South Africans. You know? He says, always define your basics. Basics? You wake up, your path, basics. Even in our industry, there's basics. And he says, just keep it simple. I don't like using the other word, professor. So keep it simple, say, you know. This is a very simple business, electricity. When we complicate it, we really mess things up. Which town have you been where there's no Coca-Cola? It might be hot, not cold, but there is a Coca-Cola nasekafriskral. This is the vision of this guy. Said, every part of the world must have a Coca-Cola, and all we are saying is that every part of South Africa must have electricity at an acceptable level, always available and affordable. And with those words, Professor, I would like to again appreciate the fact that people took away their weekend to come and look at what they can do, what value they can add. We don't issue tenders, but we do accept ideas. We're not the type of people that kill ideas. So if any idea comes out of this, please share it with us, because we're always learning. We are human beings. And with those, sorry for boring you, but I hope I've frustrated you enough to say this must end. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you.